Lotte, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to talk to you. So many people have been waiting for these next episodes to continue with this story. How do you understand and conceive the scope of this production at this point?
Oh gosh, it's so massive right now. And only last night, all the people who showed up, all the fans, it's just insane. It's nuts, and I feel like it's only just getting started too, with the fan base and all the people who are discovering Outlander, and it's been quite impressive so far.
The production is gigantic. The costumes, the landscapes, and obviously the story. What elements did you identify in your character to give her life, to make her who she is?
So with Galas, it's funny because what I first picked up on when I read about her and read her dialogue, she's just really playful, really fun, but also in a cheeky way where you always feel that there's something going on that she's not quite saying, but there's a lot of playfulness with especially with Claire, obviously. So that, and then it turns out in this half of the first season that she has some secrets herself that she's gonna reveal, or gonna be revealed in spite of her efforts to actually not reveal them. And so it's gonna be quite an interesting journey for the character.
As audience, we understand as we learn watching the film, the series, that a woman at that period has a specific place in society. And so the big question that we have is, how did she get to have a certain power or a certain position when other women are not so privileged? What did you learn, or have you learned in the process of making this series about that role of women?
That's a very good question. It's true that in that time, the women weren't necessarily the ones who decided what happened and what didn't happen. So in one way, you could say they weren't as powerful. And Gala seems to be in a place where she's, I'm not sure if she's powerful, but she's at least safe, and she's comfortable, and she knows it. And I kind of think she created that. She created her own little bubble, her own world in that world of men, mostly. Obviously, she's married to this guy who's pretty well off, and so she's created that for herself. I think she has a way of her guile and her playfulness, and she's smart too, so she kind of gets away with a lot of stuff. Also, I think because people are maybe a little scared, they don't quite know, so they kind of stay away a little.
The weather, I have heard, is a big challenge for the production. How did you cope with that aspect?
Yeah, it's true that it rains pretty much 90% of the time, which that happens in Scotland. It makes everything look beautiful. It's so green and lush, so it kind of does pay off. But for shooting, it can be a challenge. Although we were in the studio quite a lot, and believe it or not, most of the sets you see are actually studio. Besides, obviously, the great landscapes and the outside scenes. But it's just part of. It's part of being in Scotland. It's just the reality of it. I think it's great, too, because, I don't know, I have this theory that it kind of really makes the people so lovely and warm and nice because they're kind of making up for the rain. That's my theory.
I want to revisit a topic that we discussed yesterday on the red carpet, and is the fact that you, in your professional life, have gone to different times. What are the attractions? What makes this period specific for the Outlander so fascinating?
This time in history, I think it's fascinating because a lot is happening, obviously, between the Brits and the Scots. And I have traveled a lot professionally. In time, that's true. Yeah, I've been, I've been in a Renaissance piece, the Borgias, and I've done 40s stuff, and now this is a whole new era for me. I didn't know a lot about it. And I think there's a rawness to the place and time that's quite unique and fascinating. And obviously, you can tell by the costumes, it's very, there's not a lot of color except for the red shoes of Galis Duncan, which I kind of like to wear.
This ensemble is phenomenal. And the tensions, the interaction, especially you and Claire, it's something that there's always like a mystery, a secret, something that we still don't know. How is it going to develop? How is it going to work out? How is the work with your fellow actors in rehearsals, in front of the camera, to establish those tensions?
It's interesting because on set, obviously most of my scenes are with Kat. So Gayla's and Claire. That's most of my work, and she's just the most generous, lovely person ever. She's worked so hard. I mean, I still don't get how she did it because she was working, I think, 25 hours a day and just like never complaining.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's a true trooper. She really is, and I think we've been very blessed because obviously so many things have to come together. I always realize that when I shoot something, production-wise, but creatively as well, and there's a timeline, and it's a lot of different elements, a lot of pieces to the puzzle that have to come together. But ultimately, what I believe, there's an energy, a certain magic to this production where things work out, and I think that's because the producers have known each other for so long, and there's a certain sense of trust. There's a generosity, a trust, a warmth that makes this production really special.
Finally, I read recently in a very beautiful piece in The New Yorker that we have not seen a heroine like this in decades, because she triumphs with her mind. Her power is not that she fights like men, but she's woman, intelligent, and
Right.
she survives. How important is to be part of something like this?
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal. The way the role of Claire is written. She is such a strong leading. She's a heroine. She's such a, she's an example, I think, for a lot of women, and I think that's why a lot of women can relate to her. And it's just I can't express enough how wonderful it is to have such an iconic role to get so much screen time, basically, because I think the world really needs these kind of inspirations and these kinds of stories and characters to be able to relate to.
It is a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
So nice talking to you. Thank you so much.
See you